Sanghavi is with us. He's CEO at Ask Hedge Solutions. Vaibhav, good morning. Good to have you with us here. Prashant this side. Uh, I mean, I don't want to say misery loves company because we are not miserable, but markets are trading, so we are here. But good to see you, Vaibhav. How are you, how are things looking? I mean, yesterday was a blowout move and 350 points in the Nifty. So let's just start there. Where does it leave us? It leaves us obviously in a pretty good place at new highs. Do you think, we could sort of head a lot higher without sort of pullbacks, consolidation? I'm talking the near term. Your sense?
Sure, Prashant, and good morning to you and your viewers on a Saturday morning. You're right. I think, yesterday's move was, pretty good. And what more interesting from that move was that this time around, we've seen some amount of momentum coming back onto the private sector banks, which for long have been kind of, underperformers and probably, one of the higher weightages in terms of the index starting to participate on the upside. So in that sense, I think from an index perspective or a near term, my sense is basically because of this participation and a fresh momentum catching up on this space, you may see that the index may have further legs to kind of move, on the positive side. Having said that, from a private bank perspective, as a sector which we saw some traction yesterday, my sense is basically that maybe more of a tactical bounce, rather than a structural recovery from here onwards as well. So you might see index taking a breather after a good rally within a few weeks to see to that the sector churn kind of starts from there onwards from private banks to kind of other sectors as well.
Okay, Vaibhav, hi, good morning, and thanks for joining us. I wanted to talk about a couple of sectors, right? One space that has been doing very well is the auto space, and the top Nifty gainer this morning is Hero MotoCorp. But do you think we are at the start of a multi-year upcycle in autos? And what are your thoughts on which pockets you like? Because there is clearly a slowdown in commercial vehicles while the two-wheeler names are doing well, passenger vehicles are picking up, premiumization is picking up as well. Your thoughts?
No, of course, Sonia. I think two-wheelers are continuing with a good run, which they have already had for some time now. My sense is basically that traction will continue and export numbers kind of kicking in. I also kind of aids to the overall margins as well. Whereas from an overall auto perspective, I think, as you rightly mentioned, there is pressure on CVs, in fact, on tractors as well. So those two segments, we do think that the pressure would probably continue. Especially till on the sector till we see that the monsoons are coming along well, and if that happens, then you might see some amount of revival coming on there. But till then, I think you may see those kind of suppressed numbers. With respect to PVs, again, the game is more on the premiumization, as you rightly pointed out, and on the EV side. So there we are not. I mean, we'll yet to see how things shape up and probably who are the winners going to be going forward, where the innovation coming in terms of the newer model launches. But at this point in time, I think two-wheeler remains, in favor and in momentum.
In momentum and in favor. Vaibhav, any thoughts on, I was just discussing this space, the hospital space. I'm just sort of mentioning this because it's a sector which is seen as something which we all know it's a felt need. Demand for quality healthcare is going to be very strong for a number of years. There's capacity expansion happening, consolidation in the sector, and then you get something like this, and stocks take in some cases 15-20% falls. So should one see this as an opportunity, or you think it's still too unclear to make that jump?
Yeah, I think the price correction, of course, gives you a better entry point, no doubt about it, in the way that this space, as you rightly mentioned, has a tremendous amount of growth opportunities in a country where it is, where the healthcare needs are, too high in that sense. And there is pretty much lower penetration on an overall basis. While the valuations were something, before the crash, people were putting a question mark on, I think this event has probably led to that kind of correction in terms of the valuations. Now, what we talk about in terms of standardization of pricing, my sense is basically it's, while we all talk about it, it's very difficult to kind of go and implement it. So we'll wait and see how it kind of pans out. But, post the correction, if you're getting cheaper in terms of the valuation, this space, definitely shows some good potential for long-term investing.
Okay, some good potential for long-term investing. So, Vaibhav, are there any spaces that you feel have reached a valuation peak right now? I know there are plenty, and we've been talking about some of them, but some spaces that you would avoid completely for the rest of the calendar year?
No, I think, the small and the mid-cap segment where I kind of probably go and see, I think you are seeing a lot of spaces where, the valuation, I mean, to be very honest, it's very difficult to justify. Not that they are not going to grow, but if you, from concept basis, if you invest at a very high multiple, then your payback period over a long, increases, from your return perspective. So my sense is basically stick to the large cap because we are still relatively appearing a little cheaper as compared to the mid and small cap. And maybe the next year is of mid large caps rather than mid and small caps, which is probably a nudge which has already been seen by the regulator as well towards the mutual funds. So I would be a little cautious on that space.
Got that. Vaibhav, you want to sort of leave us with a stock or two? What looks good?
Unfortunately, I can't talk about stocks, but from a sector perspective, we are bullish on continuing to be bullish on industrials. I think tactically bullish on ferrous versus non-ferrous. Again, from consumption, I think there's diverse pockets in terms of the consumption and very specific segment in terms of consumer discretionary can be probably looked at. So kind of a lot of bottom-up picking in terms of where the opportunity probably lies in this kind of market.
Okay, Vaibhav, thanks a lot for joining in, and especially on a Saturday. Thank you for taking the time out and speaking to us. Well, for now, the